So I was watching this, listening to this podcast while I was sitting there playing a game and stuff. So I was sitting there listening to it, and while I'm listening to it, they started talking about Tinder. While they were just talking about Tinder, because they were talking about how hard it is to actually get a person from Tinder or anything off, like to start dating them or anything. Thing is, then they started talking about why people's ego and all this and that, and I was wanting to kind of explain it, like what I was doing, but like I was explaining like how what I took from this podcast. And while I'm sitting there listening to it, thing is, they were sitting there talking about how they get a lot of matches. A lot of people will sit there and match with them. And the thing is, or this or that. Like, the thing is, they did it exactly the same way I kind of did it when I went on Tinder. You just go on Tinder, just swipe. You just end up swiping right to every single girl. And you get a shit ton of matches. Maybe. You swipe until you can't swipe no more. And then, pretty much, depending on who you are, you kind of might try to filter out through people that you kind of find attractive to you don't find attractive, and try to message the people that you do find attractive, and then you don't message the people you don't find attractive. And thing is, that helps, but that happens a lot. Same with me. That's the same kind of thing that I did. I just swiped until I find with everybody, and then I would kind of weed through the people I thought was attractive and the people I didn't think was attractive. Which, me, looking at me, I look, you just see me. I'm not someone to be, that could ever be picky, at least in my own eyes. The thing that gets me is, there is a limit of being, there are people that are just too scary, even through their bios, or there's people that, you just really see that there's not going to be any compatibility, even sitting there, going through them. Most people actually do this. That's the kind of thing, female or male. You sit there and you kind of just like be picky about the people that you are wanting to try to talk to. You don't really try to get to know everybody that tries to match with you. The thing is, for someone like me, I try to talk to everyone that did match with me. Unless I went through their bio or something in general that just really didn't seem to interest me or something like that. Because I matched with a lot of creepy people. A lot of creepy people myself. Some were, then the first message was talking about, are you okay with BDSM, and are you okay with being in a poly relationship and this and that, and I was like, nah, I'm good. And those people I kind of try to weed out most of the time, or like, are you trying to be, are you just trying to hook up tonight? That's those kinds of people I was just trying to weed out myself. But there were so many people that you would, my point is, like, you would sit there and match with so many people. Maybe. A lot of them, you probably sit there and you're like, after you've done matched with them, you're sitting there looking at what you went through. And eventually get to this one message that might be some girl that you see that you're like, that bitch belongs on the cover of a magazine or some shit. This is just me, at least. So I was like, damn, this bitch belongs on the cover of a magazine or some shit. I would tell her, hey, we'd sit there and talk for a little bit, and then she'd be like, hey, would you like to come over to my house, hook up, or could I come over to your house, hook up? Most of the time I ended up at their house because so I could get away if I was just trying to hook up instead of hoping that she would leave. Because I did have one person at one point try to come to that did come to my house, and I was more skeptic about if they were coming, they were going to get my shit, like, while I'm asleep, they just rob me in my sleep, or they just didn't want to fucking leave in the morning. Those were the kind of worries that I had, especially if that was the main thing that we were doing, and that's all we was there for. The thing is, I even got a fucking ego for myself at one point, and this is where the podcast started talking about egos and stuff. They were like, you started matching with these people that looks like, in my words, I'll say, they were doing like a rating scale, like a top 10 and stuff. But I'll still say the person that belongs on the cover of a magazine. I feel like it's less demoralizing, I guess you can say. And the thing is, I was sitting there making all these hookups, and I was like, damn, my ego was telling me that I need to be with somebody that looks like that. Like, whenever I start actually trying to settle down to, like, I'm not settling, I'm talking about settle down in general, like try to get a wife, maybe have some kids and stuff down the road. And then every time I would end up matching with one of these people I say belong on the cover of a magazine, this is a cane. But they were, that's all they ever wanted. It was just a one night stand. They didn't want nothing else or anything. And so that's where it starts messing with your ego, your mental, and all this and that. So you're sitting there thinking that, damn, I deserve to have these kinds of people if I'm getting all these kinds of people always messaging me, telling me, hey, let's hook up and this and that. But really, all they were just were doing was just trying to get their rocks off for that night. They didn't give a dang who you were. They just seen that you lived close by. Hey, you're just maybe a 5 to 10 minute drive down the road. Let me what I can do tonight, and let me just and go on. Most of the time, that's all it was. And someone in my mental, that's how I was like, damn, maybe if I take my time to actually sit here and talk to this person instead of trying to just talk about having sex all the time, I might try to get to have a natural relationship. But once I started doing that, I realized, like, these motherfuckers ain't even trying to give me the time of day once I start talking about other shit other than having sex. If I start talking about having sex, they're all about it. But then as soon as I start talking about what's your favorite color or what's the type of stuff that you see in your future and this and that, they're like, fuck off. I don't get a reply back. Or I might, before I even can mess, or after I just say hey, or like my opening text, whatever it might have been at the time, this person right here had done unmatched with me because they probably were doing the same thing as I was doing. Just going through people that they were like, nah, I don't like this person, I don't like this person, I don't like this person. Which they could have either been just going off looks or stuff that was in my bio or just the pictures that I had. Now, if they did the stuff in my bio, I did not have anything. I did not have anything creepy in my opinion. I did mention in my bio that I do YouTube videos. I did mention that because I still don't have a vehicle of my own. I was driving a moped, and I still, like, that's my main transportation. And that's all it was, really. And it could have been that I don't have a vehicle of my own. It could have been, like, hey, I don't, because I think at the time I was living, I just had to move back in with my dad. But I don't remember what I put for my bio, because I know I was, at the time when I made my bio, I was living with my cousin as a roommate, and I did have roommate in my bio. I do have a roommate, and this and that. But the thing that gets me is, men or women, whoever you may be, they're exactly the same. They sit there and think that, okay, because I've been pulling all these 10s, I should end up with a 10 by the time I end up getting, wanting to settle down. Long story short for what they were saying. Because I was with this magazine cover girl, I feel like I should have ended up with a magazine cover girl. And that's the thing. The people that everybody I was texting, I would reply back to, I honestly thought, I liked what I seen in the bio. I thought was very beautiful. I thought, like, stuff that we talked about was cool and everything. I started just texting back everybody. And I ended up just saying screw it, but more like, let me just start trying to get to know everybody. And if somebody wants to actually get to know me back, awesome. But if not, I understand this and that. And then it started getting to the point to where if somebody was to ask for a one night stand or this or that, I just didn't give a crap to text them back. I was on a few dates. We would go out and do stuff. A few people would just go out, do this and that, hang out, eat, and then go back to her house or something. And then most of the time, closer to the end of the night, I could see where it was heading. She didn't want to started going into the bed. Honestly, it was at that point I didn't want to do anything in the bed with anybody unless I knew for a fact I'm going to be with this person. Because actually that's how it was 98% of the time. There may have been a few times that like I could have or I did something, because even back before I started like before I got back down to where I was sitting there texting everybody, even these girls that were in the magazine covers, I wasn't even trying to sleep with, because like I was sitting there, I was like, damn, this is not what I want. And I know that's a lot of people, they're sitting there thinking like, damn, give up some good shit that you could have done this or that. I was honestly worried about maybe catching an STD, and if I was going to catch this STD, I'm make damn sure it's going to be somebody I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. Or just impregnating a girl that I maybe down the road, this girl could be like this or that. And I didn't mess with any girl myself, like sleep with them unless they were truly wanting to try to spend time with me. And I didn't find that for the longest damn time. In my life, I've maybe had 2 other girlfriends that I've actually done stuff with, because the time I thought me and that person would have been together for a long ass time, maybe marriage and shit, because like we were talking about kids, we were talking about this, we were talking about that, we were talking about like just a bunch of stuff in life. How that's just me, like unless I was able to make sure I'm going to be with this person, I did not want to sleep with anybody. And yeah, however you may have taken the very beginning of the video, yeah, all these girls I didn't sleep with say, oh, I'm a liar or this or that, but shit, you can even ask my old lady now. Our first time that we were together, honestly, just started ending up being like any other one of these girls that we were out here doing this and that with, or that I was out here texting. Like we went out, got something to eat, went back to her house, and then later that night, it ended up she's trying to get frisky. Didn't do nothing. I didn't really want to do nothing. I didn't feel comfortable. It's not that I didn't like this girl. It's not that I didn't think she was very beautiful or anything. It's just that I truly didn't expect or want that unless I knew I was going to be with this girl. And then she was like, she even told me she wasn't sure that she was wanting to text me anymore after that night. Because like so many girls, they would just block me after that night, that first night or this or that, because I declined their services, I guess you can say. I declined their fun time, and I was just sitting there wanting to hopefully get to know this person. I'm not trying to just get my and run, like, because me and this girl would talk. Had been talking for over a couple weeks at this point, and we seemed like we was actually getting along through text message and everything. Then we finally got to see each other. We even talked about like, hey, at the time her grandma went into the hospital, the lady I'm in now, and we were still like actually having conversations on break time at work. I would sit there and try to talk to her. I gave her my work schedule and all this and that, and I would have understood if she did not want to talk to me anymore after that first interaction. Me and her, she continued to talk to me. I'm very thankful that she did, and I don't know, in my opinion, she tells me she's thankful that she did too. Some people can think otherwise and say something else. Never know, really. But my point is, because somebody has such a high-ass ego, they think they can't go back down. And it physically makes them ill to think that they can't have a genuine time or anything. Because, like, they might go and have all the, according to them, like, because, like, on the podcast they were talking about saying, it's a genuine 10, so I feel like I should be with 10s by the time I finally find this person. But then when they finally start trying to find this person, they end up realizing that their so-called 10s do not want nothing more than just sex. And unless like they've been on the damn app for years, like me, I done been on the app at that point probably for shit. I want to say going on 3 years at the time. And yeah, yeah, no, it had to be. I think it was 4 years for me. I was on Tinder for 4 years, and yeah, and my point is, I was on there for so long, went through so much bullshit, and I finally found somebody willing and to put up with me, and I think it's very beautiful, very awesome, very everything that I actually could probably ask for and more, honestly. Because yeah, everything that I could probably ask for and more that I could think of that I would want out of a partner in my life. She makes me happy. She does everything that I could possibly ask for. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, she does everything, and I'm not demanding her to do this or that. Like, shit, there's stuff that I don't even have to ask for, and she just does it. She's just awesome as fuck. There's times that, like, unless you find, a lot of people don't want to, and I was ignorant myself. The whole time I was on there, I had this big inflated ego. I still would say I have a big inflated ego because I ended up with the woman that I feel is a 10 in my book. The people that will sit there and say that they can't handle no less than a 10, if you keep looking, I guess you can find somebody. And it's just going to take some time. But at the same time, if you are just really wanting that person today, right here, right now, whatever it might say. You might want to realize that, hey, that 10 that you say is a 10 is not a 10, or not what you want to get. You can really get this 5, 6, 7 over here. You can't get that 10. It just makes people's mental go fucking down drain. It makes them, because they're sitting there thinking that, hey, damn, am I, because they're trying to, or like, it could be on the another side of the spectrum, and then they just don't get no fucking matches, but every now and then, and because you trying to weed out all the people that you decide that is ugly, you sit there and think like, damn, am I really that ugly? And then you start acting ugly, and then you really start looking ugly, and because you don't take care of yourself and all this and that, and then because you're doing that, now you are down even further. As time, however you want to say, time, I don't know how to really, it's just something that I thought was pretty interesting in myself. Was talking about, they were talking about Tinder and shit, and I can't sit here and talk too much shit because I was on Tinder for 4 years before I finally found the love of my life now. We've been together going on 2 years, I think, at this point. Yeah. And we haven't at one time really. I want to say that did we have we had a point to where we, or at least have I said that I settled. I don't know if she has ever said that because I do have bad anger issues, and I honestly feel like she could do better than me. But hey, it's whatever. And I say, if you, what's your experience on Tinder? I say do whatever you gotta do when you really want to do it. Have fun with your life while you can, and I'll see y'all next time.